So today I want to give you my review for Dream Scenario. This is one of the newer A24 films, and this one is described as a dark comedy slash psychological horror film. This one stars Nicolas Cage in quite a performance. I've got some thoughts here for you, but like always, before I get into it, welcome back everybody to The Haunted Beard. My name is Jake. Thank you so much for joining me. It's all horror and thriller movie content here on my channel, so listen, do not click that subscribe button unless you want to be haunted by the beard. So Dream Scenario tells the story of a hapless man who finds his life turned upside down when millions of strangers suddenly start seeing him in their dreams. When his nighttime appearances take a nightmarish turn, Paul is forced to navigate his newfound stardom. And for me personally, creativity and ambition are the things that I really look for the most, at least what I personally want out of a movie the most. And Dream Scenario, I think, is one of the most creative and ambitious films from 2023. There's a lot going on in this movie. It definitely tackles a handful of themes and ideas, but it is thought-provoking, and it's really propelled by a solid and pretty fun and bizarre lead performance from Nicolas Cage that I quite enjoyed. And like I said, this one does tackle quite a bit of themes, and it definitely juggles a lot, and it maybe doesn't totally land everything or totally flesh out everything, but again, I really appreciate the attempt and the ambition. And Dream Scenario is a movie with something to say. It actually has something that it's trying to communicate. And so because of that, I think that there is some artistic merit here. There is some thought-provoking stuff. And overall, I had a pretty good time with it. So the film opens up and we're introduced to Paul, who is played by Nicolas Cage, and he is a college professor. And he is just this sort of unmemorable, unremarkable, ordinary, everyday guy. And Nicolas Cage's performance of Paul is fantastic. He's this guy who, as I said, is just this remarkable nobody. And he's somebody who wants attention. He wants recognition. He's somebody who, for the most part, has just kind of let life pass him by. He hasn't really done a whole lot to make a name for himself. And sometimes he's a little bit pathetic. Sometimes he's a little bit awkward. He's a bit of an oddball character. But Nicolas Cage, this is a character that is just right up his alley, and Cage, I think, gives one of the best acting performances from all of last year. And not too long into the film, people start recognizing him, and he finds out that people from all over the world are dreaming about him. And inside their dreams, he is just a passive observer. He's just kind of there, sort of standing in the background, casually observing what's going on in the dream. He doesn't really do anything. He doesn't make an impact. He doesn't make a difference, which again kind of perfectly summarizes who he is and what his character is like. We get a handful of dream sequences in the movie, which I really enjoyed because it just adds this fantastical, surreal element where there's just something kind of weird and bizarre going on. And it's always interesting to see how directors and writers kind of imagine a dream world. Now, because of this recognition, his character rises to some level of fame. And this is one of the major themes of the film in looking at fame and the life of a celebrity to a degree, and the sort of difficulties and challenges that can come along with that, especially in our world today. And I think in some ways, Dream Scenario is kind of holding up a mirror, or sort of taking the temperature of our world and our society today. And it's kind of using this sort of reflective mirror of showing us who we are and how we act towards people. Now, somebody who is a celebrity or is famous, there are unexpected consequences with that. There's a person who at one point breaks into their home and is very threatening. And so there's this very scary, dangerous situation. And of course, there are these companies that are out to market him because they want to make money off of him. There's a particular scene in the movie that I quite enjoyed with Michael Cera, who is the, I guess, president, owner of this big sort of marketing type company, right? And so it kind of just gets into the celebrity stuff about how everything now has to be an advertisement. Everything has to be marketing because, we got to get our names out there and we got to make the dollars and just all that stuff. It kind of speaks to that. And I think this scene really speaks to how so much of how our world operates today is we want to monetize everything and turn everything into a product. And I think that even speaks directly to the movie industry. And Dream Scenario isn't really about movies, but I think it obviously is a movie, and so I think it applies, right? That so many films that are made now today are really just products. They are made just to simply make money. They are made to appeal to a mass audience, as wide of an audience as possible, just so that they can have the greatest return on their investment. And so I think Dream Scenario speaks to that. What ends up happening is eventually all of these dreams turn into nightmares. And this is really kind of where the psychological horror element kicks in, where now instead of Nicolas Cage's character just being this passive observer, he is now a violent threat to the people in their dreams. He's attacking people, he's trying to kill people and doing all sorts of horrible things. And this traumatizes everyone. And this latter half of the movie I found to be equally effective, but it's definitely frustrating. And it's frustrating by design because the film kind of transitions to where once the dreams become nightmares, it kind of starts commenting and, again, sort of holding up the mirror to society and reflecting on things like cancel culture and safe spaces and things like that. There's a scene in a college where this, I think it's this behavioral therapist gets a bunch of the college kids together in this room, and they're all sitting down, and she's trying to convince them that Nicolas Cage is not an actual threat. He's not a danger to them. So she has him come in the back door, and he takes a couple steps closer to them, and then is everybody okay? And then he takes a couple steps closer, and it's just this, I thought it was a pretty funny scene. But again, it kind of speaks to that because he is now being canceled. He is now being looked at as this, evil, violent person through no fault of his own. He's literally done nothing wrong, but now all hell has broken loose, so to speak, and he's just having to reap the consequences of this sort of perceived threat that he is. And so again, the movie's kind of holding up the reflective mirror to our society. And as I said, the latter half of the movie, when all this stuff happens, it's just frustrating because, at least for me, it's like I'm on his character's side. He doesn't necessarily always make the best decisions or do the best things, or maybe what I personally would have done, but you still sympathize with the guy. You still understand where he's coming from. He doesn't want to sort of submit himself or bow down to the mob. He wants to stand up for what he believes is right, even though everybody else around him is freaking out and judging him as this person who he isn't. So like I said, I think there's quite a bit here that Dream Scenario is juggling. It's just got a lot going on, a lot of different thought-provoking themes and ideas that I quite enjoyed. Again, I appreciated the ambition. Nicolas Cage gives a really great performance. I don't really have too many negatives with the film. I think that sort of frustrating aspect of it, again, it is intentional. It is by design. It's something, though, that I didn't necessarily enjoy it to the same degree as I did some of the earlier parts of the movie. It's not maybe a movie that I would immediately kind of rush out to rewatch or return to. And then also, too, the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, I'm not entirely sure what to make of the film. And I won't get into any spoilers or anything like that, but there is a scene that involves this like infomercial. And from that point on, I'm not entirely sure sort of the concluding thoughts of what Dream Scenario is trying to say. I'm still trying to figure it out. It just felt a little confusing or a little muddled. I just wasn't exactly sure what it was trying to do or say. So if you have an interpretation or understanding of sort of the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie, I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd like to hear your interpretation in terms of what you kind of got out of it and what you felt that it sort of left you with. So yeah, I'm gonna go 7, maybe 7.5 out of 10 with Dream Scenario. I definitely think it's worth a watch. If you like A24, you like something that's a little bit different, you like that sort of dark comedy, psychological horror, mashup, I definitely say give it a watch. It's pretty good, and I did enjoy it overall. So, like I said, hit me up down below. Would love to know your thoughts kind of on the ending and how it ends, and also just your overall thoughts on the movie. So, That's all I got for you. Thank you again for watching. I greatly appreciate it, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.